Perfect. Can you see everything?
Yes.
Okay, full screen. And I like to go through these on slightly under the regular speed, just so we can watch the interactions a bit more carefully. Is everything's good on your end though?
Yep, everything's fine.
Okay. Do you have anything you want me to know before the set, or should we just dive in?
Mm, I think diving is perfectly fine.
Okay, let's begin. All right. So let's see here. Strike is probably. Yeah, this is one of the two levels that I think this matchup can go to.
Yeah, I prefer starting on Yoshi's over starting on Dreamland.
You're controlling the space underneath this ground platform, no, the left side platform pretty nicely, which is a good start. I like to see that, especially versus the low percent against Fox. You're more of a read-based guy with your tech chases, I take it.
Yes, that's true. I've been working on the reaction recently, but I'm not always confident in this tournament. I was definitely not doing the read on tech in place at all.
You know what? It's important to know yourself during the tournament. Like we see a lot of Sheik stuff. I've worked a lot really hard on becoming more reactionary with Sheik, but I'm not so much of a purist that I don't appreciate the reads. They're high impact. Let's see here. Okay, so we start out with this stock. This stock looks good so far. Um, Keeping him in the corner, respecting the ledge dash, good. Okay, so that follow up, you can actually dare that. Like if you run over here, you actually get a dare instead of up air,
Oh, okay.
which is a lot better. Like the jump motion kind of looks like this. If we draw it, it kind of
I
like
see.
it kind of goes like that because his trajectory is kind of doing this, so you're hitting him around here. If that makes sense.
I see. And I guess that's a bit better versus DI away than up air.
Yeah, because you can always dash short up. You can always dash and full jump fair after this, even if they DI away, and it true combos. Whereas up air, if he DIs away, you don't really get anything from it.
Okay.
Yeah, just a small thing. Finding ways to optimize your reads, like the stuff you get off reads, is a really important part of making that punishment style work because you're automatically sacrificing a little bit of consistency in order for higher potential damage. So you really have to make sure that you score that potential damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I should know this already, but how many frames longer does dare come out after up air? Because I guess I didn't trust. I haven't done that because I probably haven't trusted the hit stun or to last long enough for there. But it's never actually occurred to me to check how much longer there takes.
Oh, it's been so long since I've done this.
I can just look it up later.
I
Also,
want to say it comes out around frame 15.
okay.
Yeah, I think it comes out about 15. So you get pushed onto this platform. So I actually don't mind this roll through because of where he's positioned and what he does. I don't know, your play's looking pretty solid so far.
I take a fair amount of damage as time goes on, trying to get back from the ledge back to on stage. Though my invincible ledge dash with Sheik is not that great right now. So far, I've been trying to work on it, but it's pretty bad.
What's your input look like? Do you do the down and forward method or do you do the quarter circle method?
So what Cardano says on his MIOM article is to let go of edge, right, and then on the next frame jump forward. Um, and then so I just go from right to left or left to right. I don't quarter circle. I just go straight from one horizontal notch to the other horizontal notch, and then I lean downwards. So I guess I do a small quarter circle for the edge dash.
Okay. The method that I found to be more consistent than like moving the stick a lot is just hitting down and forward at the same time because there's an angle where you can release the edge while drifting forward. So it shrinks that input into one. Instead of having to go down and forward or back and forward, instead of doing multiple stick actions, it reduces it to just one stick action. So
Oh,
I
okay.
find it more consistent.
Okay.
Like if your controller is like, if this is your gate, right? A lot of times what people do is they go down and then forward to like this point. But what I do is I just release it this kind of like this angle, because I'm already going down and forward with that angle. So it already has set me up for the ledge dash and for releasing the edge. So then it's just a matter of timing the jumps together. No, the jump and the air dodge together. Because all the
Okay.
stick motion is done in one. The drawback is your range of motion is a little bit diminished, but I find it's really it's a lot more consistent. So, and consistency I think is what matters on ledge dashes.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries. In that case, if you're having problems going to the edge, then question: where could it work? Do you really want to be going to the edge between stocks?
That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Like, how good is your platform movement? So far, it's looked fine, but what's your perception of it?
Yeah. I think I trust it,
Okay.
but I I think I tend to be a little predictable when they have invisibility. So like I don't try to react to what they do. I have a bad habit of just picking a platform movement sequence during the invincibility, and because I was worried about the predictability of that since we've played each other before, I think that's why I opted for semi-stalling on the edge and then going for something afterwards.
Hmm. Because I'm thinking, like, what if you begin, say, on this platform, like you light shield here? You have the ability to move to this top platform, right? If you really want to, you can still go to the edge.
Okay,
And then
and then
if he attacks on this spot, then you can like slide, you can move to this spot.
yeah, and I guess if he tries to jump and grab me, I can react and shield drop.
Exactly.
Okay,
I'm just thinking that like it makes sense to play to your strengths here.
that's a good point. I haven't worked on the light shield setup for during their invincibility before, so that's one thing I should enumerate through all those options.
I mean, the light shield really isn't any different. Instead of hard shielding on the platform, you just light shield. Like you don't even have to
Oh,
use Z. You just expand the trigger a little bit.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, gentle press instead of hard press. So when you have him in the corner here, I think this is actually a spot where it really does pay to use your reactions. I know that you mentioned that you're not comfortable with it, but you get this grab, right?
Mhm.
And you've positioned yourself to be able to cover all of his options pretty effectively. Because because of where he is in relation to the edge, tech in place is fundamentally the same as rolling back, which is fundamentally the same as missing the tech. So you could actually cover everything here with just down smashing him or forward tilting him.
That's true.
The only thing it leaves open is him like rolling through you, but that's really, really, really reactable.
I guess with down smash, he can hold down and snap to the edge, right? So that would just end up punished right there.
Yeah, but you still get the hit.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. You could even do up. You can actually on Fox specifically. You can also do up smashes here for the same for the to the same effect. In that it cover if he rolls back, it still covers it if you can space it to do so, and
I see.
also still gets the tech in place. And you can even delay it to hit the tech behind, although that's tricky. It's also worth noting that his percentage with that for that dash attack is still at the point where he can still ground himself from it. So he's at
Yeah.
47, so he needs to be a little bit higher for that dash attack to work. So that's why I'm looking at alternatives.
Okay, I see.
Mm-hmm. Percentage is really important with Sheik. Even if you're doing read punishes, like you still have to kind of know when they work. How did you get hit for that though? Oh, miss tech stand.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I guess they are also. He's at 80. I should have been willing to just react with down smash since I can do that on
Yeah,
different plays.
down smash makes sense to me. Possibly down tilt as well, because even if he grounds himself from it, you're still not. It's not laggy enough where the get up attack punishes you because it's a
Why
tilt.
why down tilt as the option over up tilt or forward tilt?
Because it's easier to set up out of the action that you're leading into. Like if we go back, um, so you see how you crouch in front of him.
Yeah.
If you this means that you could down smash pretty easily, or you could like you're already positioned to be able to down tilt or down smash because you're already holding down for it. So
Okay.
it's a more lenient input. Forward tilt is probably correct. Just because you have the platform here, which track can trap him if he DIs away. Up tilt seems it's probably also really good, but it seems awkward to hit. You'd have to be willing to dash further into him. But I could see
Okay,
both of
that makes sense.
I could see both of those being viable if you're willing to like position for them. Although if you're going to forward tilt, you might also want to be a little bit further back so you don't accidentally blind spot. Like around here maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So down tilt also doesn't blind spot if you're too close. That's another perk for it. You could also even grab, but I wouldn't grab. But if you're having trouble hitting reaction follows, I wouldn't be grabbing here. Because
Okay.
I think it makes more sense to use a potential launch or a knockdown that keeps him closer.
Yep. All that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could have smashed DI'd that shine to the edge. And probably edge grabbed it, but see, this roll. I actually don't think that this position is that bad for Sheik when you just stay here. When you just stay in the corner for a little bit. Like, I don't think you actually have to move out that eagerly. But this is also a place where your light shield is very good. Because if you're standing in this corner position, right, the only thing that actually hurts you that badly is basically back air. Because drills just put you onto back air and kind of nair, but he's not really positioned to be able to nair. And drill doesn't really harm you either because of your proximity to the edge. Like you just get pushed back onto the ledge, but it's not ever going to directly kill you. So I think you can actually wait a little bit more in this position, and suss out what he's doing.
That makes sense.
You can also expand your shield as well, like light shield, and push yourself onto the ledge, and then recover with invincibility, which is also reasonable. It also gives you time to replenish your shield if you're looking to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'll also be. I guess that's kind of coupled to my worrying about my ledge options, but as like I work on ledge dashing, I'll also be more confident in just retreating to the edge in situations like that. Is there a? I think this would be like a reoccurring theme in these matches. Is I tend to get very antsy during Fox's full hop. Like when he's on the ground, it doesn't scare me as much, but when he's full hopping and just looking for back airs and I'm worried about the double jump mix up. I think it's gonna be a recurring that I tend to have struggles in that situation. I try to just like immediately pick an option without thinking through or staying put first.
Okay, so you're looking for ways of defending against this, basically.
That would be one of the things I would be thinking about. Yeah.
Well, the way to understand Fox's full jump is that it works in an arc, right? So it kind of like when he based on where he like jumps, like this is kind of where he can kind of aim himself. Like this is his landing zone, and these are kind of the trajectories he can travel at. So what you're kind of trying to do is you're trying to defend this area because he can't land here because of the platform. Like this does not work for him because of the platform. So you're really trying to protect this area, and you're also trying to... You can bait him by moving into his, like, into this area, and then retreating into the safe zone where he can't hit you. So the motions that are good here are like walking forward into this spot, and then pulling back into this one, into the safe area. And the way that he can respond to that is he can try to either lean into you, like he'd change his trajectory to try to hit this area, or he can pull away, which gives you the ability, which would open up this kind of area for that you can walk into, which then you can move into that. What you're really trying to do is you're trying to make him lean in either direction to try to hit you or avoid you, though, and then you're just responding to that. That's why things like short, hot back air are really good, because they cover a relevant trajectory, but they don't really commit you that hard to... They don't really commit you that hard because you can dash after, or you can shield after, or you can basically do something after because of the auto cancel and the low lag on them. It's also why things like forward tilt tend to not be good in these positions until he shows his double jump or commits to the back air itself, because they're relatively high commitment. Like once your swing misses, there's a lot of cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
Down tilt is actually, weirdly enough, very good because it hits low, so you can actually wait longer. Like if you're back here, you can actually wait quite a while before and see if he's willing to commit. And the sweep actually goes under a lot of his hitboxes because his back air hitbox is kind of above him and below and slightly below him. But down tilt kind of goes under those. Down smash works for a similar reason.
Okay.
Yeah. It's weird because forward tilt is normally a really good anti-air on Fox, but his full jump kind of goes around it. So you actually avoid using that move in this situation, unless he specifically commits to a double jump, or you see him commit to the back air early.
Okay. And I guess in this particular situation, I didn't have access to walk because I was in shield initially.
Right.
But could I wave dash down and then do the same reaction in response to his drift as with the walk?
I might not wave dash down just because you might be worried that he'll fall at an angle like this. Like just barely miss the platform and hit where you currently are. What I think would be a stronger play, though, is to wave dash back very slightly to like about this spot, so you're protected against that. And then if he continues to lean into you, then you just counterattack him, because he's at the percent where that works. And if he leans away from you or falls in place, then you can threaten his landing, because he's forced to play ground game temporarily. Because you would have like this much distance between you two, which is more than enough, which is close enough that you can actually threaten him. And if all else fails, you can walk forward and wave it. If all else fails, then from this position, this X, you can still dash forward, wave dash back. You can walk forward, wave dash back. You might even have enough time to get onto this platform if you want to set up a platform drop game, but you have options, basically. Like, you have at least 3 viable lines at that point. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. If anything doesn't make sense, just tell me, and I'll try to explain it better.
No, this is good so far. This is really helpful.
Okay. Yeah, because we want to avoid that roll. we want to never have to do that roll.
Yeah.
unless we know he's leaning into us. If we know he's leaning into us, that roll is actually very strong. Oh, I love that full jump spacing. I have hit Fox with that too, and it always feels amazing. I think you could have been a little bit later on this. This is nitpicking, but like, I guess you were very confident he was going to miss that tech. Either that or that's the fastest damn reaction to that I've ever seen.
I've seen him miss that tech many times. So
okay, so that's a play. That's a I know this guy play.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, you're so aggressive with your invincibility. This is good. I've reviewed a few other Sheik players, and they're like running to the edge when they respawn, and I'm just like, why? Like, no. Okay. So, on cases like these, when you hit these kinds of back airs that don't really combo to anything, you have to act. You kind of have to mix up because he's usually going to be defending against the dash attack because it automatically kills him. So that's just something to be mindful of. I'll see if it comes up again, but yeah. See what I mean? Like, he's looking out for... Like, this is another example. Like, see how he's getting up with this shield? Like, this tells me that he's really, really trying to avoid dying to your, like, stray hits. Like, your poking moves. So I think you're going to have to actually be willing to grab... Like, even though the grab's less reliable, I think you're going to have to be willing to grab him during these scuffle situations. Or just wait a little bit more when you're pressuring him. But you kind of mixed it in there, which was good. It was just a little too far, but... See, he's like really representing his shield. A lot of these. Yeah, so shield, we have another instance. We have more instances of him full jumping. So let's kind of review kind of how we can deal with this. Because he gets down. Now he's got like that one going on. So this one. So again, like we can, if we draw his trajectory, like where he started, where he landed, it kind of looks something like this. So that means that all of this space is kind of like where we can act from. Yeah. So this is kind of like the edge of his space. So we can actually threaten, like we can actually pretend to approach him and then pull back into this safety zone. And then if he continues to lean forward like this, then we punish. Then you get the punish on him. Alternatively, you could, because of how he jumped, if you're willing to read him drifting into, any of this area, you can actually run through him. The advantage being that you get to this side, which is like center stage, which is also valuable. But yeah. Sorry, you go.
I was just saying, I guess initially my dash attack from the right blue parentheses, I think, or closer to that than the left one. So I just didn't even take all the free space he was giving me.
Mm-hmm. It's good to... I think that it's good during... This guy's really hedging for a lot of your counterattacks. So I think something else that we might want to keep in mind, because usually when Fox is full jumping around us as Sheik players, it's because we're looking for hits. And he's using it to avoid a particular approach or kind of try to jump around. It's kind of like how they try to jump around Falco's laser and then counterattack on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
Or defend against the approach on the way down. So I think that's something we want to be looking for is where are the opportunities where you kind of like jump the gun on attacking him? And could we just be... Is this situation solved by just observing him a little bit longer or baiting him a little bit more?
Okay.
Yeah. I actually don't mind that shield grab just because there's a good chance that it works on down air.
Drill's -6, even if you're perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your counter pick? I'm guessing Battlefield?
I saved Battlefield as my second counter pick, and I went Fountain first.
Okay.
I guess Yoshi's and Fountain's a little more structurally similar to Yoshi's, but I also didn't feel like I lost by a large margin on Yoshi's. I don't know.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Like, I felt very in control with the first stock, and then the full hop started happening, and I just like died off some incidental damage.
So, regarding reaction tech chasing, do you find that it's that you're juggling a lot of options when you're doing it, or is it just the reaction part is difficult?
It's just the raw reaction of tech in place is difficult.
Okay.
But I'm starting to get better at it, I'm doing it more now. But it's just a raw reaction, not the amount of possibilities.
Okay, so this isn't Hicks' law. That's good. That's good. That's important to know. Yeah, your ground game is... I can see why you're comfortable with this guy on the ground. Yeah, nice roll to get out of the corner. Just kind of pressuring, poking him. Down smashing a little early, but nothing big. Okay, that up smash I do not agree with.
Yeah, I don't agree with it either now.
I got... yeah, that's clearly a down smash opportunity. Maybe we were hard reading the jump.
That's, I think, what I was doing, but it doesn't make sense.
No. Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Like, when a lot of these full jumps that he's getting, that he's using successfully, are mostly just you dash attacking into him, like this one. Because we've got like the movement going on, but if we just observed his motion a little bit more, then we'd know that we can actually that he's probably going to full jump. Especially since like all of his actions leading up to that are kind of implying that he's trying to avoid you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also just doesn't really cover that many options either. Like if he gets up, what else is he likely to do? Maybe shield?
It's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm not confident in the threshold at which point I can, like, at what distance or am I past the threshold of reacting to him dashing forward. So I often feel that's part of why I guess I feel the need to do an immediate counterattack, because I don't believe I can like press a button fast enough if he presses the button first, like a tilt or something to cover him just going forward, like there. Well, here I guess it's off. It's not the same situation.
Mm-hmm. That looks like just jabbing him during a tech chase. That one you got him. I guess maybe that's a matter of spacing then. Like assuming your reaction time is like roughly around 15 frames. I mean, because that would be a quarter of a second, which is what the average is.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly under, just because variance, but maybe that's a matter of figuring out where he moves within, like where he can move to within that time period. So like his jump takes him like 4 to get airborne, right?
Right.
So he's airborne on 4. Nair takes another 3 to come out. So he has to be airborne for about 7 frames. He has to be airborne for 11 frames. His jump takes him... Perfect short hop fast fall is 15, I believe, with the character. I don't know. That match was mostly a wash, to be honest. Like, there were like small things that could be pointed out, but all in all, you kind of bodied him. But I'm thinking with regard to reaction time, about the distance of his short hop and nair is kind of one of the major it's one of the major reaction distances. Because if you're outside of that, then you can probably respond to him. You can probably react to him advancing just because of how long short hop nair takes.
Okay.
Running shine would be 13. I guess in my head that makes sense. There might be a little bit of guesswork with like full running approaches though. But I think at least for aerials, you could probably move back and still defend against them, as long as you're outside of his dash, short hop, fast fall, nair range. So which one does he counterpick first?
Final Destination.
Well, it's one or the other. So Final Destination, what's hard? Do you find that level harder than Stadium, or?
I find it significantly harder than Stadium, and I have been considering going Peach on Final Destination.
Damn. That is a decisive answer. Um, what about it? So, what about it stands out? Is it just the lack of platforms?
The lack of platforms, both for neutral and for the so the lack of platforms affects like my neutral. It affects the importance of getting those clean reaction tech chases. It scares me because my recovery, right, like can
Hmm.
just get up and then shine me across the stage for it because how long FD is that takes that's more damage than it is on other stages. I feel like all of these kind of snowball
That
off
may that
the width of the stage, and I also sometimes I'm not great at traversing like the gap when we are playing long range from each other. Uh, like I'm not always great at getting through that gap safely without getting nared or drilled in the process.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I was gonna say like your opening play is to run across the stage and try to boost grab him.
yeah,
Hmm. So it's partially the space of the level that exacerbates his ability to stay in the middle because you're not confident in reaction tech chases, so you wind up missing damage on punishes. That makes sense. There are actually some ways that we can mitigate that, and I'm going to look for them. One of the big ones is making sure that your launches lead to down airs because short hop down air is very difficult for Fox to get out of on this level. You can actually chain them together at some percents, like around
okay.
60. And you can actually set them off of dash attacks that aren't DI'd away, among other things, like up tilt and up smash both lead to it pretty often. Beyond that, yeah, figuring out how to navigate this kind of space is going to be a bit a priority. And I would also probably suggest that the lack of platforms means that there are fewer ways to police him from full jumping. Because normally we have the luxury of the platform overhead of like if we really want it,
Yeah.
we have the luxury of the platform overhead to sponge up one of his drift angles, so we can kind of use that as a guard. But on this level, there isn't that. So positioning a little bit more simplistically or a little bit more conservatively to not get hit by Fox's full jump is probably going to be a priority. I actually remember seeing this seeing this gimp while we were talking, and I got sad because that there was no reason to miss that.
Yeah.
I would be using your needles more. Like you go through the effort, like you see how he rolls back and puts himself at this lovely distance.
Yeah.
Okay, so like when he rolls back like this is kind of a signal to me that that you can set up your needle wall really effectively to police him from coming in, because wrong color. It kind of controls this area depending on how high you're willing to shoot, and which cuts into basically any frontal approach he wants to do. It also gives you a way of like earning stage back because he doesn't really want to interact with the needles because they stun him and lock him in place, which means he's not moving. Even if it doesn't true combo to a tilt at the height you hit him from, he still doesn't like not being able to flexibly move around your options because a fox that's sitting still is going to get outranged by you or is under threat of being outranged by you. So that's something worth noting. You even kind of set it up like if you needle here, it cuts into him as he's coming forward, like around here. You can even potentially risk him coming closer and do it like that. There is some threat that he'll jump around them like that and attack you, but with the distance you're at, that's not really that much of a problem. And also, you're at low damage, so it's not likely to lead to much either. I'm trying to think of what other options we have here with this setup. Alternatively, you could not jump, but I think the jump is actually good here because you've kind of set it up and you have the distance for it. What do you think?
Uh, that all makes sense to me. I agree. I guess on the first jump, I was more, or the first opportunity to jump, I guess I didn't identify it because he seemed closer. I guess he was still in the process of rolling, so it actually was safe to jump. I just wasn't cognizant of that. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I do. Mm. Yeah, I probably do rely too much on just zoning with the fair rather than thinking about opportunities for needles. Uh,
Yeah, because it adds so much variety in this position. Because like this fair does very little for you because of how far he is when he's coming forward. Like if you look at how your jump is lined up with him,
yeah.
like the fair for this fair to hit, what has to happen? Like you kind of have to move forward into his space, but I don't really like that play.
I am somewhat comfortable with undershooting fairs. Like I do like to play the game of like undershooting an aerial to entice him to come in further, and then like trying to play off of that with my own dash back. Uh,
That makes
but
sense.
I I can see how I might get a little over reliant on it in opportunities like this, and I start tunnel visioning.
Because I think that the fair is nice because it protects like this spacing, like it covers this area. But the needles add something by covering this kind of range. So they cover further in
Yeah.
front of you. So then using the two ranges together, plus your dash back, which moves you to like around this spot, that gives you a lot of depth in
Yeah.
how you can control the space around you, which is probably what you need on a level like FD. Then when you add boost grabs and things like that, which threaten like further away, like around this spot, you wind
Yeah.
up being able to influence a much larger part of the map just from like having sheer, because the way I always think about this matchup on big stages is that your breadth of threats, even though they're more punishable than his, they're competitive with his. Like you have almost as many threats as he does. So if you're not using them at like all together, if you're not using a good like a healthy mix of all of them, then it's too easy for him to play around them individually just because of how flexible he moves. And you kind of at some point want to be bullying him.
Okay. One question I have is I don't think I have a full set of needles or like any needles at this point. One thing that would scare me is the reliability of the stun of a single needle, and depending how close he is to me uh, when he gets hit relative to where I am, like can he still down tilt me
Uh,
something out of the needle hit stun?
he's not going to be able to counterattack you because needles have a really, really, really high hit stun relative to how much you think they might have. The risk of him getting close, the way that this is going to pan out is okay, so he rolls back, you set up this jump. What's more likely to happen is you're going to hit him, you're going to stop his movement at like around as he's getting to about this point, and he's going to be sitting still, and you won't be in a position where he can actually like you'd probably hit him around here, and he then Fox winds up being still around this spot. He's not going to be needles are about plus needles are on crouching opponents around +6, on standing opponents around +10. So he's not going to be able to counterattack you, but you also have to go through your landing animation, and because you probably hit him when you're airborne around here, so you still have to fall back to the ground. So you're not going to be counterattackable, but you're also not going to be able to probably directly convert that into something. The more important thing, though, is that you stop him from moving forward, and you force him to stand still for a second
Okay.
at this range, where he is now susceptible to things like dash attack. Um, the fact that he's been hit might force him can force him to defend himself, and you're not in range of down tilt either. So he has to recommit to running forward with an attack, or he has to defend. So that's really the value of it. It pauses his movement, basically.
Okay.
It's kind of like hitting a Falco laser. At kind of that range where he can't really get anything off it directly.
That makes sense. But you get you force him to make the first action, I guess.
Or you kind of tie him, and then you're both standing still. And if you're both standing still at mid range and tied, then usually that's okay for Sheik.
Whatever Sheik.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think you want to go a little bit more ham here. Like, this is a point where you really have to be more comfortable using the full stage, like the stage's length as a resource to just put more damage on him with your combo. Like, dash attack is so strong there. No, that was a little too ham. He's dead though. Oh my god! What? Yeah.
No. You're gonna see that way more, unfortunately.
It's okay. It happens. This is kind of a good example of how you can cover his full jump, though. You don't always have to react to it. Sometimes the same way that you set up pressure on him, though, can also just, as a result of how good your hitbox is above you are, just cover the full jump. That play also works with back air. Like putting a hitbox above and in front of him, and then also like arcing it down to harass his shield. See, these down smashes are problematic because they're giving him free counterattacks because of his percentage. You really need to grind a little bit more damage on him before you can start using them.
Did it Sakurai angle? Could I have grabbed after the soft back air?
I think you might have been able to, actually.
It looked like he was standing.
At the very least, it's better if he's willing to get hit by this down smash. There's a high chance he's also willing to get hit by grab. It's a better threat after the fact.
Okay.
Just because this down, like if the difference between grab and down smash here would be like 3 frames. So if this is working, you can probably. It's not perfect play, but it forces him to play around it. Like if you're willing to grab him after a poke, it forces him to at least play around that in the future, which then requires him to do crouch cancel down tilts and things like that, which are susceptible. Mm-hmm. It's a better mix up than hitting him and then getting counter hit.
Yeah.
He's just kind of he's really comfortable in your face on that stock. On the stock so far.
Yeah.
Like this whole sequence just this is a very confident sequence by him.
I think I'm death tilting so much too.
Yeah, it looks
probably
like you're
just pushing the panic button.
Yeah, it looks like you're really trying to get this hit. See, in this position, when he's missed in front of you, I think it might actually not be a bad idea to just simply reset your position so you have mid-range spacing again. On the other hand, you're behind, so I kind of see why you want to do this. It's close. It's tough. How can we make this play work? Like aside from just like reading his sidestep, I'm thinking maybe you could maybe you could move back a little bit to just observe him.
So what did it look like when I F tilted? Could you go back a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is 2 seconds ago. So you go for this up smash.
Okay.
He misses, so you roll
back. So then
back.
I roll. I see. Yeah, I guess I could have just also stood there because he whiffed an attack. If he's expecting like an immediate grab, or even before, right? You said he was looking for a dash attack. He was looking out for me dash attacking. So he might have incentive to shield there anyway. I don't know if it would make sense in this context, especially based off what I've seen before, if you would do a second attack, like a down tilt right afterwards. So I could have covered a lot of defensive options just by standing where I was, I feel like. And then if he shielded, I could have set a pressure or grab.
Thought, if we're going to stand here anyway, why not crouch? Because if he down tilts or goes for any other poking move that isn't specifically up smash or a drill or like a drill, then your crouch allows you to interact favorably with that and probably counter hit him for more. Conversely, if he shields, you're still in a position where you can if he shields or sidesteps, you're still in a position where you can act out of that flexibly and respond to him. So rather than standing, you could maybe crouch here.
Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah. Because the other option I'm thinking is dash back, but I'm also like, but like if he does anything but this sidestep, dashing back just doesn't really position you to be able to respond to it, except for like whiffing down tilt. And what if he just rushes you down again, right?
Right.
Whereas at least if you're willing to hold your ground, crouch allows you to do that. Yeah, these jabs mid combo. No.
Yeah. Someone's theory is that if you boost grab with A and then R trigger like I do, because you press A first on the on grabbing the tech rolls, it causes you to like press A when you like are trying to react to the tech in place, even though that's not what you want in that case. These are, yeah, I was gonna say these were not on reaction either.
I figured it didn't really look like a reaction grab, because usually a reaction grab, the thing that always denotes a reaction grab is that there's always going to be like a setup in front of the down throw. No, right after the down throw, before the grab, like something that they do to position themselves to try to standardize the landing.
Yeah.
Like Plup on the slight DIs, for example, always does the wave dash.
Mm-hmm.
On the hard DIs, they always turn around. There's always like some sort of there's something discernible about them. You're pressuring him pretty hard this game, though. That should just be a down smash.
Smash, yeah.
Yeah.
That was panic button.
It's interesting that your panic button is like such a high reward play rather than maybe something that comes out more immediately. Like usually when I think panic button, I think down smash or like forward tilt. I guess I have seen forward tilt a few times, but
oh, I meant the down smash on his shield, not the up smash.
Oh, okay.
Recovery. Yeah.
Forward throw? Yeah. Short up needle. Nice, crouching it. Well, getting under it. Grab. Yep. Tech place? Nope. I would have been wrong. Oh, nice. The wave dash tech chase set up. Up tilt. Ah, I'm so mad. Oh my god. Why did that not work? But it should be fine. No!
I swear that was a back air.
Okay.
I think Nair would have been better anyway, but I swear that was a back air.
Let's take a look at this. No, I think the back air is better, actually. Like, much better. I'm trying to think, like, is there a way to cover this? What I would actually, something you can do if you're willing to be, like, kind of tricky about this, and you don't want him to tech, you see how he's going in front of the stage here?
Yeah.
You can actually put your back air here, like ledge hop through him and put the back air here. So he doesn't tech against the wall.
I see.
That way he like pops backward, but it is kind of risky because if he goes for a perfect sweet spot, then he gets it.
Right, that's what I was wondering about.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could have. I don't think I would have done it because it was last stock, but I feel like I probably had enough time to just fastball and not grab edge at all, and just back air him like while he was still charging his update.
Let's take a look at this.
Like there.
You know what you might.
I know he has to go low.
You know what you might even be able to do. You might even be run off Nair here.
Yeah.
This looks like a run off Nair to me. If you trade with the up B as well, like as he starts moving, then you're never gonna die in that position.
Yeah.
Like intentional trade here looks really strong. Although grabbing the edge seems okay. Those are kind of the two options though that I see. Alternatively, you could like forego grabbing the edge, but I don't really, and just set up needles again to try to get an easier edge guard, like air needle here. But I don't really like that one as much, just because he has so many angles because of where he is. Like he can squeeze, he can go up, he can go straight up almost. Yeah, I don't really like that. Although it might be okay. I don't know. No, Nair and grab edge are better. I really hope you do not lose this match for that. No, for like some of these things. Like the down smash that didn't. The Phantom. Ah. Yeah. You're really trying to force this back air.
I think I missed a dash back afterwards. Like I attempted dashing away after the back air twice there, but like I think one of the things is with the versus boxes is I'm very comfortable if they're willing to shield and allow me to apply some pressure on them, but how I end up getting into those pressure situations often, I feel like I tease them into coming in with like an undershot aerial or something first, and then like I play off that, and then I get my pressure situation and I work that. But they don't really, if they're not willing to do that, like if they're full hopping or they're laser camping me, I can't. I struggle constructing that like corner pressure or shield pressure situation to begin with.
Well, I think that's actually a case where air needles can add a lot to your what you're going for, because one of the big things about Sheik's Fair is that it works in a very defined range.
Yeah.
Like when you see how he kind of willingly puts himself into the corner here. Now, I'm not saying that this is a spot for air needles because he comes forward like almost right away, but like this is to me this looks like a spot where because of where he begins his down air from. If we can take a look at this. Like you see how he's like moving into this spot. I feel like I kind of think that if you jump away here, you can kind of set up a wall, like a hitbox wall around this area to cover pretty much him coming forward with whatever he's trying to approach you with directly. It also kind of sets up the area, the jump that you want to use to defend yourself at this percentage, just because your ground moves aren't very good against what he's doing outside of specifically grab. So it gives you a way of like defending against him while tacking on the first, like one of the two aerials that you really need before the rest of your game can go online. It might be kind of dangerous because he's close-ish, but you're going to probably finish your wave dash around here. It's just a thought, though. It's a thought, though.
Also, I have to say about this talk, I had a terrible plan going into it. Because he lost the FD match, yeah, I thought, if I can get a Mutakin grab, like go for spam grabs, and then even if he hits me, I just ASDI down and grab again. It would put him on tilt, and I was justly punished for it on that first stock.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. As you're describing it, I'm just going, oh, I'm like, I was confused too because like all of the depth with your air game just like vanished. And I went, what is going on?
Yes, I was justly punished for trying to cheese.
But this is kind of what I mean, what I'm like getting at. Like because the air needles control this downward timing, it would cut into some of into some of the dash-ins he's going for, and possibly get him before he gets under you. Nice combo.
So far we've spent a lot of time like talking about like aerial options as anti Fox ground options. But it seems like, but that also presumes the notion that it's okay to short hop or full hop in the first place. And I feel like sometimes I'm discomforted versus Fox because they're looking for that jump, right? They're looking to like dash attack it or tighten their dash stance around
or just attack you early during the startup.
Right. So I guess I'm wondering, like, do you feel like I'm a little too jumpy, like I'm over relying on the use of the aerial game to fight the ground game in the first place?
I think that what you could be doing a better job of with against his ground game, or versus his game in general, is putting yourself in spots where you can threaten him with your grab. Like
Hmm.
when I see a situation like this, um, like you chase him with your invincibility, he's forced into the corner, he double jumps back. You go for this fair, but like in my mind, you see how he has to land kind of in this area. To
Yeah.
me, this looks like a spot where you could threaten him. Where standing from here, you can actually threaten him with your grab because
Hmm.
he's forced to land somewhere in your grab range,
I see.
which means that he's under pressure from it. Which means that as long as you're willing to stay on the ground for a little bit, you can probably either punish this landing, or depending on how hard he commits to it, or if he tries to protect it, punish like threaten the subsequent action. Like say he down tilts and you stay outside of its range, right? You
Right.
just grab the down tilt lag. Say he shines or sidesteps expecting to grab. Again, you just grab that. If he shields, that's a cue that you can grab him. It gives you a way of threatening him, and it also makes a lot of sense given his damage. He's at 0. And it's not like you're trying to just counterattack him, because this is kind of a soft opening, because he's going to be forced to land in front of you. Um, that's something that I would be thinking of. I actually think that grabbing, like being liberal with your grab, actually polices a lot of what Fox wants to do in this matchup, just because it stops him from moving around and puts damage on him and puts him in a knockdown, which are all three things that are very valuable for you. And it also overrides a lot of his moves in a lot of cases. And it's a decent way of challenging him when he's coming forward. And that is an important part of opening up your opportunities to jump and set up your air game. You're still doing it sometimes with your forward tilts. Like you're still challenging him for coming forward on some of these. I'm just saying that dash grabbing is pretty good because it has the flexibility of being doable out of your dash, which is sometimes really relevant. Sometimes forward tilt isn't a relevant threat because of his damage, which is also worth considering. Um, that's what I would. That's what I think. Like right now, if you were trying to defend your ground game with forward tilt, it really doesn't work.
Right.
Doing it with grab and your movement, it can though. And you're noticing like he's starting to like try to rush you down, or also try to like jump around you in order to compensate for that. See, like when he's running through you on a play like
Yeah.
this forward tilt doesn't hit, but imagine if you dash grab, because it hits both sides of you. That gets
That's a
him.
good point.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it's not really like your core seems okay. I wouldn't change a lot of your core. I would just add some options that complement what you're already going for. The big ones that to me that look like they're missing are grab and like certain forms of grab and air needles,
Yeah.
and then certain punishment decisions like, but those like are a little bit odd. But like, I mean those are pretty obvious things. Um, for those reaction for some of these grabs, and you said that you're for some of these reaction grabs that you miss that become jabs. You said it's because of where you're fingering with Z.
So I have my hands on A and Z because I have my fingers on A and Z for boost. Well, I have them on A and R normally
Mm-hmm.
for boost grab. I'm switching to boost grabbing with A and Z for this reason. But I think because I have my fingers on A and R for boost grab, when I see tech in place, I push a button, but my hand's currently not on Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because so I press the A button because that's what you press first for boost grab anyway, and that leads to the jab.
Okay.
But if I have my fingers on A and Z for boost grab, then I will when I react to second place by just pushing a button, I can just press Z rather than move my finger to Z.
That makes sense. Yeah, I do the same thing. I do the same thing. Like my fingering for tech chasing, it always starts on A and Z, but then I move my index finger to R if I notice that they rolled.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of that's one way that I can do it. Yeah, this guy is dead.
I have bad news for you.
Oh no! I'm so sad. Okay, he's dead now. There's no way he can survive this. All right,
Yes.
thank God. Okay, so again, platform movements, nice. See, like this actually wasn't bad. The only thing that went wrong was you kind of committed a little early for this platform drop, and you also shot needles at an invincible character.
Yes.
But like if you waveland back here, this isn't actually bad. You might be able to avoid the snare. If you double jump back to this top platform, you can actually avoid that nair as well. So like the idea being that you drop to about this point and then you go back in waveland here and go that way.
I see.
You could
So
also
you show them the visual cue of falling on the left platform, but you don't actually commit to it yourself.
bingo.
Okay.
You don't even sometimes you don't actually have to fall off the top platform to get that reaction out of them. Sometimes they'll jump the gun early because they're invincible, so they think they can do whatever. Like if you run to this point, stop here. Sometimes you can then like run to the other start running the other way. And even if they are smart and see you not doing that, you can still shield here and protect yourself, and then potentially shield drop or wave dash this way. It gives you a lot of options. But there's like basically a lot of lines of play here. The big thing though that cost you was shooting the needles at him, because that kind of restricted everything from that point. But the setup was fine.
Yeah. And you said just wave landing across the side platform just a little bit further back also would have been fine.
Yeah, you might have to
Yeah,
air, you might have to air dodge here, like kind of like do like a mini triangle jump to avoid the nair hitbox here. But even if you get weak hit here, it doesn't really do anything to you because of your damage.
Yeah.
So
And
it's still not that bad.
okay. I haven't considered just wave landing onto the side platform as an invincibility mix-up. I don't know why. Like from the top to the side.
It's decent. I've seen I've seen Reno juke a few people with it, and I've seen Plup juke people with it, and it seems decent. Like, again, it's just the more flexible pathways you have, the more ways of like just barely causing him to miss, the more likely you are to get him to keep him chasing you, and that's really what you're trying to do with your invincibility. You want him chasing you until it runs out, and then you counterattack him and kill him. Although that said, like you didn't even take that much damage from that interaction. Like you took a little bit, but I don't really consider that. This is kind of a separate interaction in my mind because there was an opportunity to do something else. But this can be corrected by just cleaning up your ledge play. Like that, because that roll had no business being there really, because of how he was positioned. He wasn't also in a spot like he also wasn't in a spot where he could steal the edge from you. So again, no reason to really do it. It's kind of these combo errors are really costing you. Like that back throw not leading, like that back throw instead of down throw was. Oh, that jab. I swear, if you can figure out how to control that and find the alternatives there, even if it's just forward tilting when he's over 100 or like forward tilting when he's over 70 or something, like that will go such a long way because a lot of these hits there's no reason for incurring them. And then we have the platform movement. Nice. You didn't bite. Yeah, that mix-up makes a lot of sense to me. Because you kind of like the way this is actually an exemplar of what I think of how I would be looking to do your low percent when you hit that first aerial. Like you do something, you position yourself in a way where if he counterattacks, either you test his counterattack timing. Like you could grab here, for example, but then that would get you jabbed. But you could still hold down and probably ASDI the jab and counterattack him. But I like your shield here. This is fine too, because it tests him on his counterattack, If he shines, he probably gets a pressure string and you have to roll or something. But if he down tilts, if he up smashes, if he does anything else, then you probably get this grab. This makes so much more sense than some of the down tilts and other like things that you can try to force at low percents. That's like actually an exemplar, I think, of how you could be doing it.
Should I have just needled though, since I had a full set and I could have avoided the mix up altogether?
On which situation?
When I did the soft back air.
Um, let's see here. You could, yeah, you could. That actually does lead to a needle grab. That's a good catch.
Because I don't think I had reason to believe. Like by the time I was on the side platform, he was far enough to the right that I don't think I had any more reason to believe that he could be on the other side of me anymore. I think I like when I first jumped to the side platform, he was still closer to that side platform. So at that point, I probably thought, well, he could be on either side, so I'll just back here. But by the time I actually wave landed, things changed.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I didn't even catch that this was a great needle opportunity. That actually would be perfect here. Because you're late, I actually really like that choice.
The down smash.
Yeah, the multi hit is really valuable for you. The grab is slightly less valuable because like the punishments haven't been quite as clean on them. So everything about that play makes perfect sense. Oh man, those up airs are so. I know that was a back air.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there, but at least I grabbed the edge.
Eh. I'm just gonna pretend internally that the back air that the up air was a back air, like you meant it. See, fair grab. It works, kind of.
Yeah, I guess I really it always really worries me that the low percent game, besides uh, just grabbing, always feels like there's a little bit of mix up on whether I can convert or not. And on some of the mix ups, I can just take more percent instead.
That's kind of the price of playing Sheik, to be honest. Like you have these great, amazing long moves that kind of space you around their counterattacks, but you don't have direct punishes on a lot of like direct punishes at with your low percent. So even though you can space outside of their major counterattacks and be technically safe from them, you still have to commit to you still there's still a mix up game.
Yeah. If I apply enough drift on my fair, is it possible to like drift away far enough out of down tilt range that they can't like do anything except perhaps crouch and then dash out of crouch into grab?
I think you can actually just I think you can forward air and then just shield the down tilt and get a free counterattack. I am also pretty confident you can drift outside of its range and then dash away after. I've done that play a few times. I'm not sure what the technical information is on it. I think they need to be around 20 for that to work, for the dash away to work.
Okay.
I'll cancel fair, then block. What would that make sense? Yeah, I would have to actually test that. I don't remember.
Okay.
But yeah. Beyond that, let's take a look at the main things that stood out though are just finding spots to grab instead of going for like finding spots to mix up more effectively at the low damage, although you kind of were doing it at the last no on the last game. Because a lot of times you throw away pokes, like the value of poking someone and getting him to like sit next to Sheik by just immediately going for down smash at a percent where it doesn't at a damage range where it doesn't actually lead to anything or knock him over. And the other big one is just finding spots to do air needles.
Yeah. And the full hop situation.
The full hop situation is important too. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So, anything I should know about this one beforehand, or just dive in?
It was the same tournament. Just in losers. I think I I am definitely more afraid of Seth than I am of Amrit. Just like going into the match, and I already have like I already know that I struggle more versus him, and that usually I have he's significantly more patient than Amrit. Like I cannot entice Seth with undershot aerials to come in. So that's what I was talking about, referring to earlier about the difficulty of applying my pressure and traversing the gap between us when I'm the one who has to like move forward and make that uh, make shrink that distance myself. Like when I had to take initiative in doing it.
This might be a good place where to look for opportunities where applying threat with dash attack and boost grab for long distance fighting. Because the way I think about, like the way you can kind of think about Sheik's pressure, like ability to like zone the game, like zone, is if this is like our stage. Don't mind the squiggliness, but if that's kind of our stage, then like, and this is where Sheik is right here. You kind of have like your immediately in front of you. You kind of have your forward tilts and your down tilt. You forward tilt, down smash, kind of like around here. You also have further out of that, you have your dash grab and your forward air, which kind of cover this area. Further out of that, you have your air needles, which cover this area. And then finally, further out, you have kind of like dash attack. Obviously, air needles can be higher if depending on how high you're willing to jump, but pretend it's short hop air needle for the purpose of this. And then further out, you have like dash attack and boost grab, which hit around like these two spots, like which hit around this spot. So it winds up being like a lot of different threat ranges, which he has to play around distinctly because he can't play around every single one of them. The only way that he can play around all of them is to just stay outside of the range over here. But if he's staying outside over here, then it's easy to move your threat ranges towards him because he's giving you all this empty space to work with.
No.
So that's kind of something that we want to be looking for, I think, if he's just willing to be patient. I actually used to find Campy Foxes really, really difficult until I realized that I could just move my threat range into the edge of my threat ranges into them and just see how they react to them. So to play more of an observation. Because if they're giving Sheik the ability to react to everything, I actually think her threats are very competitive with Fox's. Fox shines when he's in my mind, Fox shines when he's the one calling the shots. I've slowed it down because this is a shorter video.
Okay.
I think it's also like better to see these interactions a little bit more carefully if he's giving you a lot of trouble. Okay, so mistimed up smash, that's fine, whatever. Obviously, you know not to do that.
Yep.
You're getting a lot of counterattack. You've gotten a few counterattack grabs, which is encouraging. Again, a little small note, but be mindful of his damage. Like, this is a little low for dash attack, like 37, especially coming out of a tech. He doesn't hold down, so it works out, but again, small note. You could still you could forward throw him off here and potentially give him.
I should probably learn my percents, shouldn't I?
For dash attack, it's 51% at full power.
Okay, thank you.
Just to save you the time. For forward tilt, it's 24 because the knockdown, them OMSA teching it is okay because forward tilt's low lag. But dash attack is high lag, so you really do need the launch to be guaranteed. Okay. And up air is like 22, I think. Yeah, 22. All of these assume full power.
That's a interaction I struggle a lot with, I think. When I see if you go back, I see the dash forward, so I forward tilt, and then they full hop in the air above it.
Ah, I see. So he dashes forward. So you forward tilt. See, in this position, one of the ways that you can actually deal with it is just to like give yourself time to move back a little bit. Is to just give yourself some breathing room. So if you move here, then this is actually fine. Another way you can deal with it is you could just cover more space. And I mean that literally. Like you could, if you jump back to about this point and you back air, it covers this space and covers this area in front of you. So it covers all of that, including where he's putting his full jump. So you kind of have two options that cover both plays more flexibly. One is to just move back. The other is to jump. The other one is to defend your airspace and also then curve it in front of you.
Okay.
Those are the two ones that stand out to me. There might be others. You might... is there any merit to jumping through him or going up here? If you go up here, you might be able to set up a shield drop, which would also protect, which would then let you defend against him coming into this area. Like if he comes into this area, then your shield drop options threaten that, although not very well. If he jumps into this spot where he currently resides, you have the option to back air him. And if he chills, then you're positioned fine for kneels. It's not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
Something I've been playing around with was also just like if I like dash back and then if I see the jump rather than like if I see the jump, actually try to dash like significantly further forward. And then if he continues to go past me, like he'll either overshoot where I am, or if he's applying drift backwards, then I might still be in position to up tilt or thread and grab if he lands in front of me.
Oh, I see. So like you dash to here and observe how his drift. So if he's willing to go for like, obviously the platform absorbs him, but if he was like short hopping, for example, then you can track his drift and then pressure him on the ground or potentially anti-air him.
Or I was actually thinking, or I guess observing at where the X is would probably be better. But what I've been doing is just dashing forward, observing the jump to about
I see.
a
So
little
go
bit, like to go, yeah, over
this
there
way.
and then observe.
Yeah, that could work. I was trying to figure out what's the viability of this is, but I think this is actually if you're willing to gamble getting hit, and this is not a bad gamble given your damage.
No.
I actually think that could be really viable right now because you advance into him. It gives you the option to back air him if he goes up here. You can run under. You actually, because of how low you go, you actually run under certain short hop nair timings.
Mm-hmm.
And if he finishes over here, then he's cornered. It's not bad. It's a little unorthodox, but it's not bad. I could see that working too. I think you'd want to be. I'm not sure if I'd open the match with something like that. But if you're getting a feel for that they're willing to full jump or just run forward, I think that a play like that could absolutely be very effective. Because if nothing else, you can flip the situation on him and put him in the corner. That makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know. Do you think you good with this? Can we continue? Should we continue?
Yeah, I think we can continue for now.
Okay.
Like, I guess the one thing about it is it would like scare me more than if it would leave me susceptible to like them just like coming down with it there. I feel like that's one of their stronger plays against what I was suggesting.
Mm-hmm. Although if you just keep running through them and they have full jumped in place, you probably can get through them before they can hit you with that dare.
Yeah. I guess I'm just very in enumerating situations like this, I guess it's hard for me to identify where exactly are the like reaction points and where I just have to keep on doing the sequence based off like option coverage or with like some idea of what I think they're gonna do. Like where can I actually check to see what they're doing, and where do I just have to make some sort of educated guess?
Well, I think for Fox's jump, it's when he gets to. For Fox's full jump, it's probably when he gets to the peak of his jump, because I don't think you can react to the drifts, just because of how quickly he can come down. But you can kind of identify the range he can fall into.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he goes up to here, you can't. I don't know if you can actually react to whether he goes here or here, because of how quickly he comes down. But what you can react to is that these are kind of like his areas. And in a similar vein, I don't think he can react to all the different places that you can potentially occupy at the end during your movement. Like he has to kind of like pick between these spots. So that's really what you're trying to manipulate. You're trying to manipulate the fact that he has to guess where you're going to finish as well.
Okay.
But because he's committed to a trajectory, you have more information on where he can literally land. Whereas for him to give himself more information, he has to be willing to either stop in midair, which is not possible, burn a recovery resource with like his double jump to observe longer, or land on a platform.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just how I see it, at least. This is actually a spot where I think that it's just better to wave dash back rather than or dash back or something. Or you could even run under him, but I don't think that really does as much for you. Narrative shield makes a lot of sense. Did you go for that after the shine, or did it just come out late?
I believe I reacted to the shine.
Okay. Makes sense. I think he was actually really close to you on this one. It may sound newbie, but it might not actually be that bad to just swing defensively here. Like ledge hop, because of like where he's positioning himself. Like ledge hop fairing here, like and moving back while you're still invincible might not actually be that bad. Alternatively, his play just doesn't actually work if you just hit the ledge dash perfectly or properly, but food for thought.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also lenient enough that if you can get your shield up, that back air doesn't really do a whole lot for him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a lot of ways that can go wrong for him. Dash attack, yeah, fair. Yeah, this guy's play really promotes stability. I can see what you mean when you're telling me that it's hard to get him to do anything. Like he's really kind of just chilling in this area of the map. And then you're having trouble okay. So this is a good opportunity for learning. So you see how he's kind of isolating himself into this kind of box over here? Occasionally he comes out to about here, but not really. When you move back, his response is to move back as well. This is something you can observe, his willingness to move back. Like, when you're moving forward to advance into his space, you kind of want to stop at the edge of where he's coming forward, around, like, this area. So you want to play in this spot. Because he's not really coming further, he's not really coming any further than this. This is kind of his home, this area. So if you stop here, you can see where he's set up, and this kind of corners him. So now for him to advance into your space, for him to advance out of his box, he has to be willing to challenge your space. Because he's got he's working with a restricted area.
And just to clarify, we're doing this under the assumption of, based off the information we already have about his gameplay, that he's just not going to be willing to nair, so it's safe to just run straight up to the end of his dash space instead of hanging a little bit back further.
Well, what we are doing is, you can run further diagnostics if you want. Like, if you go to this spot, right, the edge of his dash space, you can absolutely wave dash back to this spot to defend against a potential approach. That can actually be a very good play, because one of the main responses that a player who's cornered, because he is cornered, one of the main responses he might have is to nair out into this area, but then you just defend it. You just guard against it. What I'm saying is that, based on the information you have, this is kind of where his range ends. So this is kind of where you want to be doing your observation from.
Okay.
Because this is going to this is going to threaten him. This is going to require him to commit to something to get out of here. Meanwhile, you have the entire this section of the stage to work with. So you have way more space that you can trade with him in order to win the interaction. Whereas he has this. If he has this much room, you have all this. So this is all, you can ration your space to defend against potential approaches, and if he has the audacity to move back at all, then you can start pushing him into this corner and setting up walls here at the choke points, because this is a really key choke point of this area, because you can cover him going on the platform and him going on the ground here. And that's just if he's willing to move back. if he attacks you while you're running one of your checks to see if he's willing to come forward, you can actually just kill him there. So again, it's rationing your space based on what he's given you.
Okay, this makes sense.
Mm-hmm. The only real catch is you really don't want to get shined when you're doing this, so you want to hedge for that move, because otherwise you're getting shined across the whole stage rather than just shined once and put on. This is actually one of the positions where getting shined or drilled is actually really, really dangerous. So it makes sense for you to actually defend against those, to put more emphasis on defending against those moves.
I guess I haven't really considered that before, because most foxes I play against, they do just one shine. They don't milk it for the whole stage, but that's the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is like it's a spot where getting reversaled really sucks. So you want to be like, you want to really stay on top of how the fox is defending against himself and when he's coming in. But it is still advantageous in the sense that he's a character who's all about movement, and he has to ration you can ration your space to defend against his movement really, really well. Oh no.
I take a lot of damage in the process of trying to edge guard him this set.
Okay. I would have been more aggressive there. Just because, like, when you're setting up this edge guard, like, you see how you've kind of gone through the effort of, like, setting him up? See, if you put yourself... He's already at the peak of his jump. Like, this is where he stops. If you put yourself... If you put a back air around this area, this red area, and you just draw a line going down, there's no way, like, when in response to his illusion, you just kill him. There's nothing he can do about that. And if he doesn't illusion, it's because he's, like, it's because he's firefoxing in any of this space, which you then can just double jump towards him and then cover with your back air. You know, with a back air.
Okay, so you look for the illusion first.
Yes.
Okay, that's actually probably one of my big problems, is I actually do not look for the illusion first, and then I always miss it if the illusion, and then I feel I'm no longer confident, and then I don't get the upbeat either.
Okay, so the way that... I was going to say, I used to have problems on that illusion until I read how Armada does his shine spike, and then everything made a lot of sense. So basically, there are two gaps in Fox's up B. There's one at the beginning, which is the 20 frame period, and then he's got like a bunch of hitboxes. Like, he's got a bunch of hitboxes that are when he's powering up, like when he lights himself on fire, basically. Then before he starts moving, there's another 10 frame gap. With me so far? Yes. So between these two, there's about like a 34 or 30 frame window where he's like kind of sitting still, and then another one for 10, and then he begins moving. So the way I kind of structure it is, this whole period, I just don't try to hit it during this period. Instead, what I do is I use this window of 34 frames or so to look for the illusion. And if it doesn't come, then I try to hit it during this period. Okay,
that's well within the threshold of human reaction. So sounds good.
The only tricky part is getting, when you hear that whoosh, queuing for the illusion, you just stick anything out. Like, if your fingering's off, it doesn't really matter what you hit the illusion with, as long as you hit it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a perfect world, we fair or bear it, or nair it, like one of the three good aerials, but, I mean, sometimes we have to make concessions and, like, fast fall under it because we're just not lined up for it, and, like, punish the landing lag. It happens, but the really important thing is just do not get hit by the illusion, intercept it or avoid it, and then punish its landing. Do something to it, but you gotta hit it. And then if after that big window he still hasn't done an illusion, there's not much other than a B. There's not a whole lot he could have done. So there you go. Like, if you just fall on him with back air, he dies there, and you're still well within your ability to cover everything else. Nice little corner pressure. Oh no.
Yeah.
I think that was just a timing thing. I think you could have hit that. Alternatively, you could have shot needles, but I don't think that there's a need for an alternative there. Okay, so this position. When Fox goes up onto that side platform, there's kind of like the important thing to know is what his ranges are, because he kind of changes his meaningful ranges. Also, the Nair doesn't really interact with it, but basically, like if he short hop Nairs off the platform, it kind of looks like that. So you're really looking to like go into this spot and then retreat out safely. Alternatively, you're looking to use your high priority aerials to cover this area. Like back air works here, forward air works here. You can also pretend, if you're willing to be ambitious, you can also attack the choke point here with forward airs or back airs. That also is fine. Nair doesn't do it because it doesn't hit far enough in front of you. Something else that can also work here is to up air, to like run to this into this spot and up air here, like while retreating, which can work, but his percentage isn't really right for it. But that can be really valuable at low percents.
So for the very first option, why is it necessary to be able to retreat out again afterwards? Why can't I just stay underneath?
Because he might move to...
Like, why can't I...
Because you're really trying to bait him here. And if he moves to this spot, he can he doesn't necessarily have to travel at that trajectory. He could also just run off and aerial you here.
Okay.
Which gives him the option to attack. Say, if you decide to sit in this spot, it gives him the option to attack it. Now, there are movement mix-ups which can potentially work around this. Like, you're right to think, hey, can I just stay here? You can. It's just you can't just, like, sit here. You have to be willing to keep moving. Like, you could then move out, like, further under him, and then it's awkward for him to attack down because he has to basically commit to a shield drop, which is pretty much a vertical action for his character because of his fall speed.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to like kind of pick a point and attack it, which then you can weave around. But for your first step, I would probably move in, check, move out to see if he does the long approach, and then if he doesn't do the long approach, then you can keep moving further in.
That makes sense. And now that I think about it, even if I moved to that spot, like I could try to up tilt if he tried to ran off, but then I'd be susceptible to different timing mix-ups, like whether he ran off or short hop off or full hop off. A single up tilt wouldn't cover up any of, like, it wouldn't cover like it would only cover 1 out of 3.
Yeah. Alternatively, you could short up back air. Short up back air is not low, like is low commitment enough that you might be able to attack the choke point and then still move under the platform and like further protect yourself. You might not be able to like defend, like attack him after, but maybe you shield, so you're at least covered from that mix-up. From one timing mix-up. It's a thought. But the Nair just never wins in that position. I've tried it, it doesn't work. It just doesn't have enough priority to contest anything Fox does there meaningfully. So on these needles, you know what to do instead, right?
Yeah, I should know that he has to up B. Like he's not gonna be, so I just run off Nair. Or fair.
You could also just shoot him again.
Yeah.
Like both of what your two options are completely fine, like they're completely correct. You could also just shoot him here if you're uncertain, and then grab edge, and then do standard back air. Any of that works. You might have to. I'm gonna have to speed up the video a little bit though, just because of time sensitivity. Just to like 0.75. I can see why this guy's more challenging than the other guy though, because he doesn't run into things as much. So you're trying to like pull him towards you, and he's just not interacting with you. He's not interacting with that style, and then the only like he's running, like he's got you in the corner and he's still backing up. Like, you see what I mean?
Yeah. This is what terrifies me. But
why? You have no reason to be afraid of this guy. No. Why does he freak you out?
Well, I guess it's back to our earlier discussion of like my discomfort with that full hop, but because I don't take advantage of the limited trajectory, like the amount of horizontal distance that he gives up at the moment he full hops. As we discussed it in the first game now, though, right? But I guess it's just like I'm just always paranoid of because I don't know if whatever I do will get counter attacked by like a double jump mix up or uh, like because I feel like I can't push a button versus the full hop as well, and I'm just not like moving into a space instead. That's what scares me is the feeling that I can't push a button.
You just
Probably
can't.
all it is.
You can't push a button right away,
Yeah.
but you can still out like your back air, to a lesser extent your up air, and even just anti-airing with sweeps as he's coming down are all very strong options against his full jump. It's just you have to kind of to get the aerials to work, you have to be positioned for them in it. You have to be positioned for them a little bit in advance. And to get the sweeps to work, you have to be willing to stay at the edge of it or move in and then move back. That's really all there is to it. When he full jumps around you, it's because when he's full jumping around your options, it's because he's trying to move around something and then get a counter attack in. Or scout for like a push and then count and then fall on top of you. It's why his full jump is so good. So it's defensive positioning. It's like check for opponent doing something that I can counter hit and then do it. It's kind of like our wave dash back, except it's a full jump. Or it's like Peach floating when we do like a bad forward tilt underneath her, and then she's like, okay, well, now that I've confirmed that they have missed this, I will now hit them. That's really the whole thing that they're trying to do. So I'm guessing Fountain? Yeah.
Fountain, yeah.
Were you checking for if it was 3 to 5 with the TO or something?
No, they were just talking about weed in the back, and we both agreed that we would rather not have them talking about weed in the back.
Okay.
Like our set.
Okay.
I think this was loser gets fifth, and we both still like wanted to win this tournament.
Okay, that's good. So yeah, we have I think right now like the first down smash didn't really work out just because of his percentage. Although that did have potential to multi-hit. And then the forward tilt was just the forward tilt faced the wrong way. Not sure. I guess you were trying to read a roll, or maybe it was just an input error.
It happens multiple times on the Fountain games. I'm not really sure why, to be honest.
Okay. Nice. That was really clean. The whole sequence was really clean.
I feel like I finally got him in his shield, and like I felt comfortable for once, but I forget why exactly. So I got a dash back there. Like I don't know what generated the pressure option to begin with. Now that I think about it, but I remember like as soon as I finally got him to shield a bit and feel cornered, I felt much like better. I was able to like exert pressure on him.
I think that you're just controlling center stage really well. Like you're invincible, so he has to like take the back foot. You see how you just move forward, move back, observe. You get this knockdown. You push him back into the corner. You run into his space. You put him in this position, so he's again on the back foot as Fox. Dash around his full jump. Dash attack the landing, and combo. So yeah, I think you just kept him contained for the entire stock. Once you respawned with invincibility, but you just once he was on the back foot, he never really got his footing back.
That makes sense. I see that now.
Yeah, and on this one, this is the juiciest tip up smash. This up smash is so good here. Like if you tip this, it kills him. It does so much damage. Nice. Didn't move back quite far enough to defend against that ledge dash.
I've been thinking about instead just running forward like to the edge, so they just overshoot past me, and then I just dash attack, turn around and dash attack them afterwards, or any sort of counterattack.
I have heard of crazier things. I could think that has potential. I think you could. I think that. I think that could work. I would be worried about them starting to mix up with their ledge hop aerials to counter that.
Yeah.
But that at that point it just becomes you have to dash back when they come forward. No, when you think they'll do that, and they have to read the dash back correctly, and the dash back is still flexible enough that you might still be able to get outside of the range. Alternatively, option C is you could just go on the side platform here. Since if he jumps up to attack you, he burns all of his invincibility, and it outspaces a good amount of his up smash timings. And the ones that it doesn't outspace, you can still light shield, slip off the platform, land here, and like be fine. Which is not a terrible situation. Yeah, I don't know. There are lots of mix-ups on ledge dashing though that I think that could be viable. Yeah, I'm seeing these like turnaround forward tilts, and I too have no explanation for what's causing them. I'm guessing that maybe you're getting no, because like if you're getting hit and then holding the other side, then you still turn around forward tilt, like to face the correct side. You still there?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, up air, nice. Yeah, I don't really agree with that full jump. So you have him in this knockdown, but you kind of like full jump around him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is where staying on him is really important.
I guess I was anticipating get up attack, but that's only one option.
Well, I think that you could also still space around the get up attack or check for the get up attack without committing so hard to it, right?
That's true.
Like, you get this down tilt, you check, maybe if you, instead of full jumping, if you short hopped and like landed on this platform or wave landed off this platform, you might still be able to move or wave land onto the platform. You still might be able to like check for the get up attack, and then when you see this roll away, advance into this part of the stage. Maybe you don't get the direct punish, but it still gives you the option to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, see, this is an example of like cover the illusion. Like you get the down tilt, you get the fair. If you short hop, I think here, and go to this spot, I think you can actually curve the drop the back air in front of the edge to cover this illusion. Without if you're and then you just combo further off it, and then if he doesn't do that, then you can still grab the edge and defend on the Firefox. So that's another way that you can kind of cover both options by just adjusting which one you're prioritizing.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
Although I do see why you thought he was going to go to the edge, because it was kind of ambiguous. Because of just where the camera was and how he was like moving during that sequence. Is that going to kill? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that always feels so bad. So you kind of, I think you started in the corner on this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had, the problem with this is like, you only had one real line. You had to like leave the corner or stay in the corner, so you only had two options. Because the low platform doesn't really help you here.
Yeah.
So you're,
Yeah, I guess I didn't. I wasn't cognizant of that when I picked a side. Like I didn't think about the loss of the side platform as a mix-up.
True. I think at that point it might even be okay to just grab the edge and chill, just because At the very least, it forces him to wait at least one. It forces him to wait at least one 30-frame cycle before he can actually interact with you, which is a quarter of his invincibility. More if you start at the if you start in the corner here. Like if we go back a bit to where the not here after you kill him. Like if you start here and you wave dash back here. Like if you wave dash back here instead of getting hit by the up smash by trying to run through him, and you just kind of work your way back towards the edge. It's not perfect, especially because because it's not perfect like an ideal solution, but if you can kind of work your way towards the ledge, you can burn his ledge invincibility by making him try to chase you into that spot. And then as soon as you touch the edge, that's another quarter of a second that he cannot attack you because of the intangibility.
Yeah,
so like he misses this up smash, you pull back. You pull back again, possibly evading another approach, and then you pretty much exhausted his invulnerability. So it gives you another way of dealing with this situation, other than being forced to run through him. And the edge has mix-ups from that position, which are pretty good. But again, it's tricky. It's tricky because you would need to up your ledge dash consistency and at least be able to ledge dash shield before that becomes viable.
Yep, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. As a very small side note, I find when Fox is on this platform facing away from you, forward air basically never works on this back air.
Yeah.
So I
guess I had a position to bear anyway before I got too far away from him, so I should have just taken it.
Yeah, I agree, because you can again whenever this area on the platforms is kind of like a choke point, because whether he wants to go to the top, because if he goes to the top platform, you can reach it from this position if you jump into this spot, because you can just double jump and back here into this spot as well. And if he continues to zone on this platform here, your back here covers this area. So it kind of chokes two important areas that he might move to. And if he drops here, you back airing here is not unsafe enough that it's that big a risk to not use. So it kind of covers most of what he can go for here. Whereas forward air, with its more narrow hitbox, it requires you to move more into him. It's just not quite as effective, especially when he's facing away with you, because back air has a much higher. Back air has a pretty high rate of beating Sheik's forward air. But from Fox's end. Wake up down smash. So all these forward tilts.
Yeah.
They're starting to come out.
Yep, just
trying to force the hit, I guess.
Yeah. I guess here he was dashing much closer to me than before, so I should have just seen that and just I could have raw boost wrap probably.
Yep. That's expand your threat range, force him to play around another big tool, and once you see him he either has to attack you and give it the way you defend against boost grab is you either jump around it, attack it, or move back, right?
Yeah.
So once you observe how he's defending against it, then you just switch your plan. That's kind of what I mean when I'm getting at when I'm saying that the breadth of her threats are really, really, really expansive. And they force the opponent to preempt them, kind of, because in the unreactable positions, they have to play around, they have to kind of guess which one you're going for. But if you're willing to move back a little bit and then create a reaction window, and they commit to going for a defensive option or a preempt early, then a lot of times that creates an opportunity for you to counterattack them and punish them, which is really one of the big powers of Sheik's offense. It's not her offense is in a vacuum is risky, but because of how people have to defend against it, it does pay to see how if you're willing to check how they're willing to defend against it. This ground movement was so good for that reason, because you see he's kind of occupying this center area, trying to prevent you from pushing on him because he's dropped his pressure string. But then you get because you're willing to observe him over here, you get this grab, which then leads to lovely punish. I like that you're just chilling here. I really, really like that. I really like that decision. This all makes so much sense to me, given what you've told. Given that he's patient, given that he's a very patient, very defensive player, and on top of that, you have trouble recovering right away. I think it makes a lot of sense to take advantage of his refusal to push the issue and just stall more.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know about that weak back air. I think that meant that was probably supposed to be a forward air, but
Which one?
During the combo. So I think it's during this sequence. So you get this forward tilt dash attack, and this is all very clean. And this.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, fair is clearly better.
Funnily, this is actually a spot where you could short hop down air. Mid
Oh,
punish.
okay.
Like after this dash attack, when he pops up here, because he doesn't get out of stun until around here.
At 92, does down air combo regardless of the IO?
I'm pretty sure it
Or
did.
are you just suggesting it as a mix-up?
I'm pretty confident it combos to fair no matter where he goes here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm pointing it out.
Okay.
And if he DIs straight up, you can sometimes like get epic cheese, like another down air into like up air or something to kill off the top. Although I think the second down air is actually DIable. Like it's escapable because of the sheer knockback, but I think the first one is guarantees the fair, unless he gets crazy smash DI that I've never seen before, like TAS stuff. You could also probably wave dash under him and up tilt, but I don't know if that guarantees a hit, so I'd probably shy away from that.
Those were also, I don't quite know why the turnaround down tilt happened.
Okay. Yeah, this is where like not respecting the tech vulnerability really cost you an opening. Because like he was invincible for the first 20 frames of that roll, so then he just went right through your fair. Forward throw, short on needle. Oh, jab.
This is really tough to watch. You'll see why very soon.
Oh no! No, I'm so sad. Oh, everything was so good. Okay, but instead of doing this,
I should have just rolled there.
Actually, you have a guaranteed kill here that involves you going down here. It's very similar to what you did. It's just one move different.
Weak Nair?
No, because weak Nair you can't recover. Like you might not be able to recover in time. It's weak back air.
Okay.
Because you
so needle turnaround and then weak bear.
No, you hit him with the front of your bear. Like
here,
wait, watch.
Where was he positioned?
So when he's here, you drop down and get this slap. So what you do is you double jump forward with weak back air to push him like you're trying to nudge him into this spot. So you're kind of like putting your back air like this.
Mm-hmm.
You still have to have your invincibility. You have to have your invincibility while you're doing this, but you do, like because you got off the edge super fast.
Yeah.
So you just nudge him a little bit forward, and he's dead.
Okay.
And if he's too low, that he might even be dead here. Like you might actually be right in that you can just roll here, but if you nudge him to this spot, he's super dead. There's no chance of it going awry. This was just unfortunate though. Like, you weren't kidding.
Yeah, it was after a whole set of him outplaying me in the recovering versus my edge guarding game. That was very demoralizing. Yep, that fair, as you said, does not work.
It's just it loses to back air way more than it works. And it's hard because it's got such a narrow hitbox and is only out for a bit. It's really hard to make it work on all of his fastfall timings and drift timings. Whereas back air just kind of works a lot better. for that reason. Because it's just out for longer, and it's much bigger hitbox above you, which is the place you're kind of guarding anyway. I see. So yeah, these needles. Yeah, you just kind of were dancing too close to his down tilt range. But I guess you were expecting anything but down tilt, like maybe shine or something, because this works on pretty much everything else. The way you dash
No.
danced. That was he picked the one option that you weren't covering.
Yeah, here he just grinds me out with the full hop or the high back air that I have trouble dealing with.
Yeah, the big thing is you're facing him. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like if you had your back to him, you have the ability to like potentially harass this whole area because your back air covers the whole platform. So it covers an important choke point. And then on top of that, you have the flexibility of being able to it just has more priority really. So it's less likely to trade or interact poorly with the things he's going for. Because he is kind of showing you what he's going for. Because he is grinding. The fact that you know he's grinding gives you a lot of like time. Because you know he's grinding, it gives you a lot of time to set up these slower plays. Because it takes time to like reach him while turning around because it restricts your range of motion. You can't dash jump forward. Like you can't dash jump towards somebody while facing away from them. But he's giving you the time to do that kind of stuff. Because of how he wants to play this match. This ending.
That makes sense. At the end there, I don't think I realized that the side platform was coming up beneath me, and he slipped under, like he just fell, and then he got underneath me, and I was in a position I didn't actually realize when he hits me with the short hop there.
Let me take a look at that one more time. Ah, I see what you mean. Like, this came up, it pushed your short hop a little higher, so really you were trying to, like, be around here, but you were up here. And this would have made your fair relevant versus him because it would have stopped him from coming out. Probably combo, maybe links to a grab because he's jumped. I gotcha. That makes sense.
I guess to mitigate that, like I should just just drop through the platform, be cognizant, and then like reset my spacing to what I originally had.
You could also unload your needles on him because I believe you had full needles. So when he comes up for this kind of play, another option you have is to just short hop and like attack him, like short hop and create a line here that potentially combos. Because you'd land on the you'd land in this area, but you'd have to know that the platform's coming up because otherwise that play's not really worth it. Because if the platform's coming up, you hit him with the needles, you run off, you fair him, and then you have a mix-up on him when he's at like 30 damage, which is pretty strong, because he's then at the percent where you can actually knock him over and kill him. Whereas if you just hit the needles on him from a rising short hop, they don't really. It's just blank damage. It's not really a good use of them. So
okay.
Yeah, that's like
that makes sense.
So yeah, that's another line, but I think that you're kind of on the right track with you could just drop underneath and then just continue to play ground game with him because he's going to lag here. He's going to land here. He's going to be forced to interact with you at least a little bit on the ground because of your relative positions to each other. Because you finish like around here, he finishes around there, or other way around rather. But yeah. All in all, you have good basics. I just think that you need to use more of like Sheik's would make a larger range of what Sheik's threats are. I think that would help you quite a bit. Specifically, like using her long distance tools and then observing the opponent more once they start playing around those, which you can use to check. And against this guy specifically, I really think that you need to be more willing to test how he wants to defend his space by taking center, and then either running diagnostics by moving back to observe him and like trading some of the space you have to see how he's defending himself, or just be willing to push on him if he's already cornered and showing you more defensive answers. Something like that.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then beyond that, it's just move selection stuff. Like not knowing that like that Nair not interacting with his platform game the way that you might think it does, like that probably cost you like maybe two openings, which is actually pretty rough in this matchup because any freebie that Fox gets can be pretty devastating.
Yeah,
Beyond that,
there,
full jump stuff.
there was also several times I think in the set where I did a wave dash back that correctly like avoided hit whatever aerial he was going for. However, I like did the wave dash back with tilting in mind beforehand, but it was at too low of a percent, so I got counterattack so I should have just opted for grab because he just like landed in front of me multiple times.
Yeah, I think
But I tilted.
I think being mindful of his percent will go a long way. Like figuring out when all of your tilts knock him over could really, really do wonders for your game. And on top of that, I think that figuring out like having a little bit more respect for when dash attack goes online will also maybe not against these guys because they're not really punishing with like ASDI down, but against opponents that will, I think that will just prevent you from having a headache later.
Okay, this all makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. As long as you think as long as you've got something out of it, then I'm happy. But